Thank you so much. So, like, how do you say thank you?
Mieti.
Mieti. All right. Thank you, Mieti Hassan Sadona.
Yeah, Mieti.
Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Conversation, reaching you from Kaftan's television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. If you actually just joined us, you've missed out on the first segment of the show where we talked about the Hausa people, and then we're able to learn about the Hausa people from Dr. Yahuza Getso. And now we're moving to the Fulani culture, so we can be able to learn, understand, and appreciate the Fulani man or Fulani woman anywhere you see them. And today, my next guest is Hassan Saldona, who is a cultural leader. He'll help us to understand the culture, the food, the dance, the sporting events of the Fulani people. Great to have you on the show today, sir.
Thank you very much, Annabelle, for having me now.
You're welcome. Okay, so like I was saying before we started the show, that we're going to start with the fact that when you talked about Sadauna,
yes,
and then you were explaining something to us, because we've actually done a conversation on the Yoruba people, and then we were able to understand the meaning of Are and Nakakamfo. And then you said that's like the Fulani meaning of Sadauna. But help us to understand and appreciate what exactly is Sadauna, and why do you have that title? What does it entail?
Normally, you know, the Fulanis are one of the most travelers in the sub-Saharan region in West Africa or in Africa at large.
Oh, generally? Or?
Yes, generally.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just only those people that, the cattle rustlers.
Yes, that is why I said they are travelers.
Oh, okay.
They always move with their wealth, and that is why they are cattle rearers. And they always make a history of trying to have, what do we call it, a kind of clan. And wherever they found themselves, they try to establish a leadership. They don't stay without administration. Because as we have seen them, they are one of the few oldest tribes that have education, be it whether, what do we call it, religion education from Islamic perspective, or come to the Western education now. So before the Western education, the Western education met them with their traditions. And this tradition, there is, what do we call it, like a president. Okay. In every cabinet of president, you will be here. There is people like Matawale, there is Tafida. If you know the late Umaru Musa, he is the Tafida of Katsina. He is the Tafida of Katsina. And you cannot stop all those things from every clan of Fulani. So they try to establish a cultural leadership. We call it Ardo. That is the emir, the head of the... So in this Ardo, that is the head, the emir, or the chief, or the leader of that community, then they will give you some title. The title of Chiroma. If you find out the minister, what is Chiroma, maybe you will find that he is a minister of interior. Then if you find Sardauna, you find he is a minister of defense. If you find Sarkinyaki, you find that he is a minister of this and that. So this is how those traditional names have been acclaimed, have been sorted from the tradition of Fulani community, who, if you look at even the Usman Anfodio, Kalifesi, he is a Fulani man by tribe. And when he moved and come to the Sokoto to establish the Kalifesi, it is there he established all the tentacle of administration. And whenever you have this administration, you will have this sort of names. And that is why even that is why because of the tradition are almost the same with that of Hausa, not quite far from their culture, you find they are bearing almost the same titles. When you said Lamido, that is the emir, it is the, what do we call it, an emir in a Fulani language. But now if you go to Adamawa, you find that the emir of Adamawa, we call it Lamido Adama. If you go to Cameroon, or you go to Mali, or you go to Senegal, and so Gambia, where there are settlement of a large number of Fulani in number, you find this type of culture. So these are types of titles given based on what will be your performance in the cabinet of that leadership.
Oh, awesome. That's really an eye-opener. You've said quite a number of things that we can actually unbundle. Like, because you talked about Aldo, you talked about Lamido, you talked
Lamido.
about Matawale. So
All those type of...
I actually thought that it is their name.
No.
Because I know people who bear such name. I know Umar Aldo, who is one of the former vice presidential aide.
Presidential aide.
And then we know Matawale, we know, but we thought that it's their name, not knowing that it's actually a title.
It's a title.
Oh,
only that
awesome.
if you happen to, sometimes when everybody knows that it's a title, let's say talk about Umar Ardo. Maybe he is not an Ardo, but his father or grandfather was an Ardo.
Oh.
So when he was born, he is Umar, the name of his grandfather. So happened to be the Ardo of that community. You understand what I'm saying?
Okay.
Especially his mother and the other wives of the man children cannot call their in-law. So, but they know he is an Ardo. So instead, since he has gotten the namesake of his grandfather, they will be calling him Ardo, Ardo. So some people are getting those names through that. That
awesome.
is by birth.
Awesome, great.
Yes.
All right, so because there's quite a number of things you talked about, and when we had the talked about the Hausa culture, I asked Dr. Yahuza, why is it that is there this difference between the Hausa man and the Fulani man? Because sometimes I come across some people and then you ask them questions in a Hausa, they'll tell you, please, I'm not an Hausa person, I'm a Fulani. And then same thing with the Fulani people. So are there any discrepancy or any line between the Hausa man and the Fulani man?
Definitely, the discrepancies is just some of them cannot even speak Hausa.
That's the Fulani people.
That is, there are some Fulanis that cannot speak Hausa.
Oh,
you find a Fulani in Kogi State or in Kwara State. The emir of Kwara State is a Fulani by clan. It's not a Yoruba man. It's a sultanate. This is a transmission from the then Sheikh Usman and Fodio. So they are Fulanis. But even if you see a Fulani man rearing cattle inside a bush in Kwara or any part of Yoruba or Igbo land, he can speak Igbo, but he can't speak Hausa.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yes, there are Fulanis that are in Igbo, Enugu, anywhere. There are some of my relatives that I knew that they are staying in Enugu. When they come to the north, they cannot speak Hausa. They can only speak Fulani full day.
What, but why is that?
The reason is Hausa is not their language, but the language that is their tribal language is Fulani. So they can only speak full day. So once you meet somebody like that and you think that he is a Hausa man, because there are some who felt generality of Hausa man ordinarily from the south means a Muslim. Some of them, this is what they see. When you come to the north, you will realize that there are Fulani, there are Kanuris, there are Hausas, there are Birom, there are Mishika, there are Janjo, there are Skataf, there are that is Baju, there are all those tribes.
So is there a common language for everybody?
The common language is that because Hausa is more acceptable in the society, acceptable, it is the most easiest language that you can speak. If you stay with them within a short period of time, you can able to understand Hausa language. But because of that, it becomes a common language in the north. So that is why the person that has never come to the north will think that everybody is a Hausa man. Or the highest thing that they come to know, those who start to or who attended the Western education to the level of knowing there is something they call Hausa Fulani.
Yes.
So those Hausa Fulani.
At least we did that when we were in school.
But yes, the culture is that they have the same religion. Common religion is Islam. So that religion allowed intermarriage. And most of them today in the society, it is very real in the north, like Sokoto, Kano, Zamfara, Kebbi, Katsina, Kaduna, Jigawa, and Bauchi, and some states, to find out a family that doesn't have a Fulani man or a family that doesn't have a Hausa man. If either your mother is a Fulani or she is a Hausa, or either your father is a Hausa and your mother is a Fulani, those intermarriage has bring it more easier to have to call it a Hausa Fulani. But when you met somebody that you can tell him this is Hausa, Oh, he will tell you, no, I'm not a Hausa man. I'm a Fulani by tribe. But he accepts a Hausa because ordinarily when he had somebody insulting a Hausa man, not because he is insulting Hausa because a Hausa is a Hausa. No, he is seeing him as a typical Hausa Fulani. Now that there is a lot of the crisis of banditry, which is the foot soldiers are Fulanis. Those mostly that you are seeing are Fulanis in the north. People terms it to be a Fulani act of evils and doing, but which is not true. When you go in, then you realize a lot of tribes are involved beyond your thinking. It's not only
even
Fulani,
more than, it's not even only Hausas.
Yes, a lot of tribes are now found within that criminality, because criminality doesn't have a boundary line. It does not identify someone as no, because he's an Igbo or because of this and that. When there is this, I have one of a friend. He's an army officer, senior officer. So a very tight friend of mine. So when he went, he was given a command in the south. So in the bunkers, when they arrested some, out of about 11 of them, 7 of them, they are northerners. But when you ask him where are you from? He will tell you Kano. Kano from where? And they say I'm from Minjibir, or I am from Kunya, all those type of places. But he has never been there. But he can speak the language. But he was born and brought up in Port Harcourt or Wari. So these are indigenous, or how would I call it, as long-time settlers in those areas. So he was astonished. These people, when you go to this Niger Delta something for a volunteer force, then you find Hausa's people are met inside. Don't think that it's only the Ijo or the Ibibio or whatever. But now you go to the Igbo land, you find Fulanis in some acts that you will think. I have a friend, when he is speaking the language, Annabelle, you can't speak with him. He speak your core Igbo.
Yeah, I agree.
Because there was something that happened. I don't know. It involved a lawyer and a buyer. That is this property something business. So when they were talking every day, he refused to tell us that he has been. I knew he can speak Igbo, but he refused to tell us anything until the very day that the payment will take place. And the payment had to come from his own side, because his boss gave him, go and get something. I want you to get something out of this so that you can solve your little problems. So when they comes, he said, lawyer, this is your friend. He starts speaking in Igbo. The lawyer was a kind of ashamed because somebody made him to look stupid. So these are it. If you know the former governor and former deputy speaker of Immerse of Nigeria, Ihodia, Emeka, what is his name? Ihodia. Do you know where was he born? He can speak Fulani more than a Fulani man. I don't know whether you know that. So the reason is that he grew in the society. That cannot make him to be a Fulani. He can only understand. But the Fulani people are they are this type of people, very shy. But they are very shy by nature, and they are very reserved. That is why you find out that very few people can able to speak full day who are not Fulani by origin. The reason is that they are very reserved. They don't believe in fast interaction. It's just like an Igbo man. He is reserved in his own language. You see, a very few people know how to speak their language because they hold their things very tight. Not everybody will come into, and the Fulani are like that. Sometimes not everybody. That is why I told you the commonest people that are very common in accepting different tribes are Hausas. And that is why they have the wider perspective of language. Today, if you look at in Africa, they are either the second or the first outspoken language in Africa, next or first ahead of Swahili, the indigenous tribes of Africa. So when you look at BBC, Voice of America, Deutsche Welle, and other they have been having this Hausa language and Swahili for a decade. But Hausa is growing faster in the society than the Swahili, because the Swahili, they are not what do we call it?
Welcoming.
They are not welcoming. They don't welcome people anyhow. They stick to their tradition more than anybody. And what's so fat Fulani more, they stick to their tradition, culture, and values more than any other person. That is why they stand on that. Something with Kanuri that you are seeing.
Okay, so what is this culture or value that is that you can attach? Immediately I see a Fulani man, I just know that with this culture or this tradition or this value or norm, this man is a Fulani man.
Yes, but you know, there is the world has moved very fast. But in just 20, 30, 40 years back, when you see a Fulani, you don't need to ask him. You will see him with his stick. Secondly, his attires. If you see me like this, automatically before, you know that this man is a Fulani. But maybe a Yoruba or a Hausa man can wear it now.
Exactly.
Because it is a generation that have changed. Then secondly, you find out in his features, he always have a pointed nose. His ears are looking very shiny.
Yes.
Then you find out that he is always looking slim. That is why.
But you're not looking slim now.
Yeah, that is why a vulture. But if you remove this my tummy, I am not a fat person. It's just that the tummy. When you see some of my relative, I am a twins. My twins brother is not fat as me. Only that he is huge by nature. But some of my elder brothers, my cousins, my even children, you see them like one.
And they are very tall.
When you know me before, you wouldn't believe that I'm the one that you know 20 years back. Because I'm a Jos, Sadona, very slim and looking fair, a Fulani village or whatever. Okay. That's what you call them.
Okay, so another thing I always notice is that they're always tall. They have a particular kind of hair, and they're almost looking like is it Indians? They are just fine. Like when you see a Hausa person, just a Fulani person, just this person is too fine, like a Fulani people. So that's one of them.
Yes, that is what makes you, if you find out, you realize that you know, every tribe has an origin. Where do they come from? If you have been traveling, you go to Netherlands, you can find an Oyibo speaking Fulfulde. If you have been traveling to places like Iran and Iraq, you will see an Arab man, but you hear him speaking the language. You go to this Saudi that you are talking about, you see a white man speaking Fulfulde. So the belief is that they came from this either Europe or Middle East because they are herders. When you go to places like Madrid, most of them they are rare animals, whether sheep, whether cows. That is why we have in America, Southern America, you see cowboys. They are always on, what do we call it, horses, and rearing their cattle and whatever. So there is something they say called species in agriculture. So the Fulani species, in this one, let me use it this way, they are as bigger and wider than any other tribe, because you find them always attached to their their wealth, and the wealth is either cows, camels, sheep, goats,
donkeys,
all those type of things, donkeys and whatever. If you go to Spain, there is this day of celebration that they will go to fill the street and the road of Madrid in Spain with sheep, cows. You can't pass. And there is a time when they are passing. That is why when people are talking in Nigeria, see cows inside Abuja, is because they have not been traveling. People doesn't have a wider perspective. The notion given to them by seeing cows inside Abuja or whatever is a Fulani. Most of the cows are not belong to Fulani. Out of 99.9% inside this town, they are not belong to Fulanis. They are belong to maybe former AIG Igbo, former AIG Fulani, former AIG Yoruba, former General this, former Minister this. Let me tell you this, in this town, and you cannot touch it, not even environmental. Nothing will touch just cows. Wike came, and he made a statement that he will follow them. You see, small boy, they were interviewing him in the video. He said, "You can't send us. We will send him away."
Okay. Let's go back to enjoying the Fulani culture. Now, let's talk about the Fulani dressing, and I'm going to put them together so that we can unbundle them together in one breath, because so that we can manage our time. Now we'll talk about the Fulani culture. What is their dressing rather? What is the dressing that you can find with the Fulani man? Secondly, is the food. What is the food that you know with the Fulani people? The food and the drink, and then also are there sporting events that you just know that this is for Yoruba people? They will tell you that is the ayo or boxing. So what is it for the Fulani people?
The Fulani is sharo.
What is sharo?
Sharo is a culture normally. They will invite, they announce every man. Most of the young men are the ones that are doing that. They will come and stay the way you are sitting down like this. He will come and sit down. He will tie a wrapper here. His chest will be naked. One of his brother will be standing here with a very stick on his can in his hand to be beating him on top of his chest.
Really?
Yes. Maybe someone can take 10 more than. And sometimes it because of a woman to marry, to see who is more brave.
Oh, I thought that stuff was just movies. We see that.
No, it's not a movie.
That's really the
I saw it lively.
Oh, wow.
Yes, when we are small children, we were practicing it with our this thing. We will go and get this banana this thing. We cut it and then we will be beating each other. But when we grew up, the culture has gone. We have not met it. But still, they are doing it. Even here, some areas within the FCT. Kefi example, but because sometimes when they do it, there will be fight, a lot of serious chaos. But it is a tradition.
So what are you trying to bring out from that? After flogging the person like 10,
then the woman that he want to get married to, she will say, yes, my
husband is a strong man.
Boyfriend is a brave man. I must marry him. Then she will marry you.
Awesome.
That is what was happening. Then secondly, there is what they do annually or times to times. They will call themselves everywhere. You can come from maybe Kefi, Suleja, what do we call it? This Kaduna Road, all these places, Abaji and whatever. They will meet to get here for almost 2 weeks. They are not doing anything. They are going to give their children, in Fulani, they can give your son, who is 10 years now, a daughter of 7 months, that she will be my son, a wife, and it will going to be tied a kind of agreement. So in those, in those type of,
does it mean that you must marry that person that time?
That time, when she grow to fullest time, she will be your wife.
And she cannot look for somebody else.
No, she already knew that she has a tie. Even if she will be having a boyfriend, she knew that her real husband is there alive, waiting for her.
What happens if she decides not to marry the person?
That is, sometimes it doesn't work. Crisis, she go to court, the elders, she will complain if she don't want, and he too, he might decide not to. But before, there is this discipline, you cannot say no to your elders who have, it's a kind of, when you get married, what God has bring together, nobody will put asunder. So it is a culture, a respected one. They will kill cows, kill goat, eat, and be doing all this culture of dancing, all those type of things. Then there is this culture of every year, and they will gather with their cows somewhere, then they will start having immunization. You understand what I'm saying? Then you will be seeing them cutting the ear of the cows, giving them a number.
The cows?
Yes.
Okay.
They do it assembled in one place. They will do immunization. Then anyone that has been immune, they will cut the kind of example that they have immunized that cow. All in thousands.
Whoa.
Yes. So then there are this culture, their food. You know, a Fulani man has a culture of taking milk. A natural milk, and then the one that has spent a night, they use it in what they call fura.
That's the fura,
Fura. And these fura are of 2 categories.
Okay.
There is a one that when they just remove the milk, they will go and boil it when it, what do we call it, boil. Then they will remove it and keep it aside to condense and cool down. So that one, you will hear it, it's just like a milk. When you buy a Dano or anything, buy a very good natural milk of the other
like the,
yes.
the evaporated milk?
Yes. So when in the morning, they will remove it and start putting fura, and then you will take a very, what do we call it, a rich milk with the fura and nono. And that is the common food everybody knows with them.
Oh,
anything
really? Awesome.
other than that is an addition of tuon and miyan kuka. But before, you see a Fulani man, he doesn't take okra. It's just okra just come just
so
recently.
then is okra attached to Hausa people? Because I know
yes,
the Hausa man talked about
people.
Oh, okay.
Yes, there are food that they doesn't eat. A Fulani man doesn't eat before anything birds. This bird that you are seeing coming down to chicken.
Wow.
Yes. And there are, like me, I have never eaten, what do they call it, a rabbit. I can't eat a rabbit. I can't. This, what do we call it, a duck. What do we call duck? Geese. I can't eat a geese. As I'm talking to you, if even I ate it, when if it stay for 4 or 5 hours, you mention it is a geese, I will go to vomit. Not intentionally. Naturally,
you don't think it's just your psyche playing on you?
That's what I inherited. I knew that my parents doesn't eat chickens, neither fish. But you see, I'm eating fish because I'm a modern Sadona.
All right, so then you were going to talk about the clothing.
The clothing is that normally before then, when you see a typical Fulani, you will see him with this type of cloth. You see the hands here, a coat and whatever, a simple cloth that will not create a kind of difficulties in terms of moving his cows or whatever. Then their women will be tightening a wrapper and then having something, what they call it, a veil to put on. Okay. And it is a common one. That one is a type of dressing that you know. But you will see them, there will be, what do we call it?
The nose rings.
A nose ring. You see some of them even not nose ring, their ears, a very mighty one.
So all those paintings, all those paintings and then those marks, are they all actually part of your culture?
Yes. Marks, before even natural one that they record, you see, those one give some people, they are from Soso clan. Okay. Like now, we have Toronkawa, we have Sulubawa, we have Jadanawa, we have, what do we call it, Yabaji. All those type of clans of Fulanis, they are there. So when you saw them with their marks then, you will quickly say, she's from Imo Ibo. No, Inugo Ibo, or that exactly Nsuka, or Kwige, and whatever.
All right, our time is fast spent. In fact, we're just enjoying ourselves learning from the Fulani culture. But before we go, we have a particular culture that we learn, that we always like to give. So before you leave, we'd like to hear you say in the Fulani culture, tell viewers who are Fulanis watching you and tell them thank you for watching. Keep watching Kaftan television, and wherever you are, make sure that you stay safe, avoid war, love your neighbors as you love yourself. In Fufude.
Bandiraɓe men fulɓe min getti to gon on fuu keɓe wakkati gaɗon ka darki kaftan hollay on andinay on ɗawdorto e kaftan kadi taw on koye moɗon fuu jodde e yimɓe bandiraɓe moɗon eɓe joddi on jamu ɓuri ko ɗume, jamu arde faray en yeeso, jamu kan okkata leñol ñamki yeeso e jonde jam. Min getti, Kaftan yetti.
Thank you so much. So, like, how do you say thank you?
Mieti.
Mieti. All right. Thank you. Mieti Hassan Sadona.
Mieti.
All right.
Annabelle.
Thank you so much for watching. It's been a wonderful time learning from the Fulani culture. And earlier we talked to Dr. Yahuza Getso on the Hausa culture. And now we've been talking to Hassan Sadona on the Fulani culture. It's been a wonderful time. Remember, we started from the Yoruba culture. We went to the Igbo culture. So very soon, we will be going straight to Ibibio. We'll take tea. We'll take Idoma. We'll take even the baggy people. We will definitely come to your neighborhood. So be rest assured, my next stop is in your village. I'll see you next time. My name is Annabelle Oji. God bless you and yours. God bless Nigeria. Mieti Nigerians.